My husband said it brightly, like a line he'd practiced in front of a mirror. His smile held until the door closed behind me. I remember thinking it was nice of him to walk me down, to wave even after I turned the corner. I remember thinking that marriage was mostly about these small performances of care. The station smelled like oil and old rain. Nothing dramatic, just concrete warmed by feet and the faint metallic echo of announcements. I checked the board, then my ticket, then the board again. Platform 6, car 9. I adjusted the strap of my bag, already running through the presentation I'd give in the morning, the emails I'd answer on the train. Movement felt safer than reflection. There was an old woman near the stairs, seated low, as if the ground had claimed her years ago and she'd stopped resisting. I gave her coins because she met my eyes without asking. The sound they made, too loud for such a small kindness, made me uncomfortable. I nodded, a closing gesture, and turned away. Stop! Her hand found my wrist with surprising accuracy, not a yank, a claim. The kind of touch that assumes it will be obeyed. Don't get on, she said. Come with me, I need to show you something! I laughed, reflexively. A thin laugh meant to dissolve the moment. I'll miss my train, I said, already pulling back. She didn't tighten her grip, she just didn't let go. You can miss this one, she said. You can't miss what's already moving. People flowed around us. Someone bumped my shoulder. I felt heat crawl up my neck, the embarrassment of being visible in a way I hadn't consented to. Every reasonable instinct told me to leave. I had a ticket, a schedule, a husband who had waved. And yet, there was no hysteria in her face, no salesmanship, just urgency stripped of ornament. That unsettled me more than shouting would have. 2 minutes, I said, mostly to myself. She released my wrist immediately, as if she'd never doubted the outcome, and led me not far just beyond the vending machines, where the station dipped into shadow and the announcements sounded farther away. She reached into a canvas bag and pulled out a phone. It was cracked, old, the kind people keep because it still works. Listen, she said, and pressed play. It was a voicemail. A man's voice, low and careful, using my husband's name, not affectionately, procedurally. The message was about documents, about timing, about making sure I was out of the way. There was a reference to a transfer, temporary, clean. Nothing illegal in the words themselves. Nothing that could be proven without context. But I knew his pauses. I knew the way he spoke when he thought he was being clever. My mouth went dry. Why are you showing me this? She shrugged. Because you dropped money like you didn't notice the ground, she said. Because you were already leaving. That could be anyone, I said. I hated how thin my voice sounded. She nodded. It could, she agreed. So don't believe me. Just don't get on that train. The whistle blew. The low, final sound that closes options. I looked back toward the platform. Car 9 slid into place, doors opening like mouths. People stepped forward, their lives arranged in tidy lines. I took my wrist back. Thank you, I said, a polite ending. I started toward the train behind me calmly. They're already watching. I stopped. 2 transit officers were approaching from the far end, their pace unhurried, their attention not yet fixed. One spoke into a radio. My name drifted across the concrete, mispronounced but unmistakable. The old woman was already moving away. Ma'am? One officer said, "One need to verify your ticket." It took longer than it should have. A flagged reservation, a duplicate ID number, a security hold that hadn't been explained because explanations slow things down. They were courteous, apologetic, even. Procedure wrapped in smiles. The train doors closed. The train left. I sat on a bench under fluorescent lights while they sorted it out. My phone buzzed once, then again. My husband's name lit the screen. I didn't answer. Not because I was brave, because I was tired. Because something had finally stopped moving long enough for me to see it. An hour later, they told me I was free to go. They told me it was likely an internal error. They told me I could rebook. I thanked them. I gathered my bag. I did not rebook. Outside, the day had shifted. Clouds thickened, the light duller, more honest. I sat on the low wall by the taxi stand and listened to my voicemail. Another message from him, lighter now, confused, concerned. Call me? I didn't. I thought about the old woman, how she hadn't asked for belief, only for delay, how she hadn't stayed to be thanked. How she'd known that authority, when it arrives, doesn't announce its intentions. By evening, I had copies of my travel records. By night, I had a lawyer's name written on a receipt. Nothing dramatic. Just steps taken in a different direction. When I finally called my husband, my voice was steady. I said the trip had been postponed. I said we'd talk when I got home. He paused, just long enough. Trust doesn't shatter like glass. It loosens quietly until it no longer holds weight. I never saw the old woman again. But sometimes, when something feels too smoothly arranged, I stop. Just for a moment. long enough to hear what's already moving.